can't believe it.
30 minutes later. So, day one of podcast of Two Guys, One Bike. We create a bunch of notes.
That was hot.
And we have this conversation where it's kind of funny because we're not going to go back to them.
Right.
It's like, no, it's going to be all raw in this conversation. And we had this beautiful 30-minute conversation. And you know what? We killed it. We killed it. And the best part about day one is you got to learn. We were educated. We were educated that we do not log in as producers. We log in as a host. You know what a host does? Keeps the videos. You know what a producer does? Doesn't keep the videos. But we are here. My name is Jacob.
My name is Marston. Welcome to Two Guys, One Bike.
Two Guys, One Bike.
So happy to have anybody listening. Just want to say thank you to all the people that just told us how psyched they were for this podcast. We are just as psyched. Just to give you a little backstory, we literally just recorded for 30 minutes, had this amazing conversation. Stoked.
We did great.
We did great. And then I guess it I logged in as a producer, and I should have
logged in.
We logged in as a producer.
We did that together.
We should have logged in as a host, and the podcast just, it was practice. It was great practice. So here we are. We're going to have a brand new conversation. And
yeah, we could bring in some main points that we kind of talked about, some developments, and
100%.
But yeah, the gist of what we kind of started off with was, I don't know, the beautiful vision of what we kind of want this to be, a foundation for us to grow in our friendship, understanding that we have two different upbringings and also two different energies of foundations that we were raised in, and how much we needed the other person's energy in our life, and how it's created such growth. Like I was saying before, we've had these habits and we've had two fires that are kind of burning. They're kind of burning out, but they're always staying there. We're doing our jobs. We're successful. We're living in houses. We got dogs. We got wives. We're doing it. But there's just this grit that we've been missing, this life experience. And we put wood in it. As you say, we poured gasoline in it. And we've just really connected in. This is a foundation where we feel like how we're growing together is something that we want to share with others. And it's not necessarily we're educating others. We just want it to shine bright on how healthy it is. We can communicate as two men in 2024.
Agreed. I do really like the idea of talking about how you and I have influenced each other. I thought that was a really good conversation. Just kind of starting off, like you said, or like I said, before I met you, felt like I was figuring it out, but there was something missing, and I didn't realize it was missing until I met you. I just felt so kind of in my groove, and I felt like not necessarily that I had life figured out, but I was heading in a really good direction. But it was also a little bit of a dark direction, just because I was just so filled with judgment that kind of bloomed or blossomed from myself, judging myself just on how much time I wasted doing things I shouldn't have done.
You are your greatest enemy.
Exactly. I was my greatest enemy.
You beat yourself up the most. And what's beautiful about it is, one thing that I noticed that I try and hold a strong fortitude of around you is the way that I hear you talk about yourself, and how there's different ways where it's funny where I like to reword it sometimes. Where it's a good habit. It's a good habit. And habits are really kind of what got us here today. Read, you told me about a book, The Power of Habits, and it's been really educational, really eye-opening. And the biggest thing I kind of got out of that is you just need to start a small one. And sure, make your bed. Sure, if you don't want to get on that grind, whatever. Mine was in the morning when I went 2.5, 3 months sober. Himalayan salt, a quarter teaspoon, full lemon, some hot water, natural electrolytes. Kind of got the body going. Kind of woke up, went to bed, trying to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Those are my two small habits. Get up around 7:30, feed my dog, take my electrolytes, brush my teeth, walk him, and then I can start the day. From those wins, whenever I didn't get to do it, it's crazy the emotional effects that breaking a small habit has, but it also is amazing how small habits start trickling from them, and you start bettering your life. And that's what we've kind of done. We've tried to break bad habits with creating new habits, and it's about starting the small one.
It's actually really good that you say that. I forget what I was reading recently. It talked about how when you start losing, it feels like the losses come very quickly afterwards. Like you're losing a lot. Like it's really easy to go down that negative spiral of like everything in life is going wrong. But as you start making those small incremental changes, and by the way, drinking water and electrolytes as soon as you wake up is a great habit that anybody should implement. It's just very good for you. You just wake up very dehydrated. So doing that, you'll just notice immediate differences.
Shock, man.
Easy peasy. But going back to that, the same thing applies to wins. So just small wins. So like for you, for example, even if it's just making your bed and then having a 16-ounce glass of water, then you're taking your dog for a walk. Now you've gone on a walk, got your dog walking. Let's say you come back and you read 20 minutes in The Power of Habit. Just those wins start to add up, and that becomes a system for you, which will then help you accomplish, let's say your goal is, I want to stay sober and I want to be such and such at the end of the year. By doing those small incremental things, those behaviors are, one, changing how you think and how you view yourself and drinking alcohol. And then once you change how you think through behavior, you end up becoming a new person.
Yeah, man. It's just what I've learned. The power of bad habits is what really got me. The power of the small voice in the back of my head.
New book, The Power of Bad Habits.
Yeah, The Power of Bad Habits. It's just the weight of it. It affected me as a young man. It affected me middle age. And as I'm starting to get older, getting up to my 30s, it's just the little wins, like we were saying. I just want to every single day better myself a little bit more. And from that, our foundation of friendship that we've created, 4 days a week, seeing each other, 4 days a week, writing everything out, writing our workouts, writing our plans for our podcast, the communication that we've had. It's just really grown us as a friendship, but as men going into life, still so young, early 30s, coming up on my 30s. The foundations all began home, where we started, Minnetonka, Minnesota. Single mother after father passed away.
When did your father pass away?
My father passed away in 2008.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old. Just enough to understand and just enough not to understand. Enough to feel father's love. Enough to feel the education and the guidance. And at that age, when he's reaching the end of cancer, you have adult conversations. And from that trickling effect, life just gave a little bit more education on death. And it's what it is, man. I love my life. I love who I am. I love my friends. I love all the people who were the glue when I was not able to be the glue. I love my high school counselor who did everything in her power to make sure I went to college. Love you, Mary Beth. I love the love of my mom who saw me go through 7 different deaths before I graduated high school. Just the life experiences. But like we were talking in our first podcast, 0.5,
the first time,
0.5. Now we're at 1.5. Yeah. The way that I was molded, I would never take back any of my experiences. With today's technologies and today's health, it's just we can last till 80. Back in the day, war, sicknesses, people are dying around 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's crazy to be 60. And so having life experiences with death and today, it's life. It's hard. My wife said a beautiful thing to me a couple months ago that has really put an ember inside of me to better myself. She said that in the grieving process, I got stuck on so many different stages. I never was able to close a book because every single time another death came, it paused the grieving process in the other one. And so every single time that something's come around now, celebrations, I've been really trying to focus on healthier habits, smaller wins. Waking up, instead of dwelling, I decide to smile. Deciding to think about the day of their death, I think about the greatest memory. and
She's showing gratitude.
She put gasoline in a vehicle that needed to run again. I needed to heal, and so my wife's my best friend and knows me to my in and out. She's my number one. She's everything to me. She's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Hell yeah, man. But yeah, habits. Everything's habits. Bad habits, good habits, and the transition of it. And every single time something bad has happened, it's always fixed by one small effect to create a ripple effect.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
I just totally spaced on what I was about to say.
Absolutely. Hey, I have that effect, man. I'm a big lover.
I was just lost.
Yeah, man. It's deep in emotions. But today we are here to dabble into different styles of conversations. We're here to dabble into what this is, what we are, and what this is finding smaller conversations. Today we might have dabbled in habits, and that's awesome. But today the main entity is kind of showing who we are, and this rawness and this communication. I promise you, the first video, we were geeking, we were laughing, we were telling our moms. It was just we were big old high five. It was wonderful, but yeah, I brought this one a little deeper than the last one, but it's good, man. It's this is a foundation for us to shine bright and show our actions and show how we can communicate together to better each other. Having those different upbringings, but wanting to be one. We want to be the greatest person we can be, and we're learning that we can do that with each other's guidance and each other's support.
I think that's good. That's a good point. I think what I really, really appreciate about you, and something I really appreciate about Shelby too, my wife, also my best friend and my number one, and who does a fantastic job of calling me on my bullshit, for lack of a better terminology.
Good. You got a fair share of that sometimes.
I can't bullshit Shelby whatsoever. And I have a lot of bad habits when it comes to, let's say if I lose control of my anger, my emotions, I can be manipulative. And she does a really good job of just nipping that in the bud and just turning the candle off.
Small habit.
Yeah, and she really helps hold me accountable when it comes to not allowing negative emotion to impact my behavior. So I couldn't be more grateful for that. And a lot of that stems just from intensity and talking about upbringing, and my mom and my parents, who I could not be more grateful for. I wish you could have.
Can't wait to meet him.
Wish you could have heard my first spiel.
It was so beautiful. But we did so good.
Yeah, we did so good, but that is okay.
We live and we learn.
You know, my mom and dad were just so big on experience and so big on like, yes, you want to get the best education possible, but that does not mean that education comes in a classroom. It means that education is going to come from an experience. And so they were just all about traveling, whether it was sending me to British Columbia with my cousin to portage across the lakes for 2 weeks, whether it was sending me to Costa Rica to study sea turtles, whether it was allowing me to go to Guatemala to teach kids how to play lacrosse, whether it was studying abroad in Australia, you know, skydiving in Australia, but not cliff jumping, but bungee jumping in New Zealand. They were studying sharks and lions in South Africa. Like, it was just, you know, you think back on it. And
what's this age? What's this time frame?
First time I was ever on a plane, I guess technically it was by myself, but really my cousin and I were really young. I'm going to butcher the age, but I mean, we were young, and we went to British Columbia where we were put into a group. And it was kind of like a wilderness survival / exploration trip where you and a group of other kids your age had 2 counselors, and you guys get in a canoe, and they map everything, and you're just surviving in the wilderness for 2 weeks. You have to go from point A to point B, and then you're flown back. And you do, well, actually, it might have been a circle. It was a really long time ago.
Life experiences.
It was an amazing life experience of just kind of like being away in the wilderness, listening to wolves howl at the moon, watching Northern Lights for the first time. It was just, you know, mind-boggling. And then my cousin and I, again, the next summer, were sent to Costa Rica for 2 weeks where, you know, we're up at 4 a.m. doing 6-hour hikes across the beach looking for sea turtles. I was literally like knocked in the face by a leatherback sea turtle when I was trying to count its eggs. It's just, you know, and then for each time, amazing. You're put into a new culture, learning new things, and you're experiencing the world in a new way. You're seeing things from a new lens. After that, my cousin did something else. My mom sent me to the Caribbean, where I went on a 2-week scuba diving trip where I got my scuba diving license. Studied like captaining a what's it called? A catamaran. We lived on a catamaran.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't comfortable.
What age are we at right now?
This was, I believe I was in high school for this one. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I was in high school. It was an amazing time. Learned to scuba dive. Wasn't the most comfortable because I'm living on a catamaran. I just have like salt coming out of my hair. But every time, what I got used to was, in the summer, I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to come back someone new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to come back someone new. Almost like someone sticking a sword into a forge and I'm just being hammered into something else. And then after that, went off to college, and then my parents sent me on, I would say most impactful, because I was old enough to understand what I was doing, to South Africa, where I spent 2 weeks swimming with great white sharks, studying great white sharks. It was an apex predator trip. So I spent 2 weeks studying great white sharks, swimming with great white sharks, feeling small as a human.
I'm an apex predator.
If you are an apex predator. And then 2 weeks studying lions out in a reserve where they couldn't do tours. Like it was literally like a reserve. So it was specifically for doing research.
Dude, that's just nuts.
Oh, it was crazy, man. They told you not to run. Can't run, because if you run, you'll get chased.
Yeah. Just like with the gorillas, you have to like walk just right by them and not make any kind of movement, any sort of. And if they come to you, you let them do what they got to do.
It's funny you said that, and this is going to be a big shout out to my boy Mickey Mittermeier, who was my roommate for 2 years in high school. We lived with each other, got our own space in one of the teachers' houses, which was crazy.
Nuts.
His mom, amazing, top-notch, National Geographic level photographer. Dad, amazing, top-notch conservationist.
I just want to share red wine with them.
Dude, speaks like 6-7 languages.
Oh, I speak one, but I'd love to
I want to use my one. We can use English and talk about it. Would go on expeditions to mountains untouched by man that his dad could literally name.
You've talked about him.
I'm talking like this.
Didn't he do something recently?
Unique. Well, right now he and Mickey, I apologize if I'm getting any information wrong. I love you forever. But he's big into plants, so he sells very rare. He grows and sells very rare plants. But he's vastly intelligent, just so unique. The unique where when I first met him, I made fun of him. And he remembers this, and he calls me out on it every day.
As you should be,
because I walk past him. I walk past him, an athlete, thinking I'm top of the world, going to this new prep school to play hockey. And just soak it in. And this kid comes by, just drenched in jewelry and necklaces from different countries. He's
my
got
kind of hippie, man.
Scorpion on his neck, and I'm a freshman in high school. I'm the jock, and I'm like, look at this loser, And then he and I became brothers, and to this day,
can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, he is just beyond unique, and just he was one of those. He lit a fire of the differences are what make us, and that's what's cool. The fact that you are different, and you are different because of you did this. You need to embrace that. You're not just a jock. You're not just an athlete. You're everything. And that to me was cool. So I love being athletic, but I'm also a total weeb, and I will watch anime all day. So that's
all I do. I want to back us up. To we have a timeline of when you were younger, high school, kind of got to college. I look at mine and 40, 60-hour weeks right after high school. And it's just coming back
40, 60-hour work weeks right after high school?
Yeah, just right after high school. Well, I had to go to college to learn how to drink and drop out. After my rugby career at the USA Rugby Academy was going great, and then had an injury in college. I'm going to back up and go into that another time. But what I want to get to is that the experiences and what your parents brought you into, what I love is I can't wait to meet your parents, because they've literally earned everything. And there was a time where some of it was taken away and they had to go back from zero at a grown adult.
Yeah.
And
that would actually be a good podcast.
They got him back into it.
Yeah.
And so what I love is the grit of how I've been raised by a hardworking single mother after my father passed, who all I saw was just budgeting, work hard, and then our pleasures were crab legs and mussels and just like little pleasures. But then what I love is what we bring so much to each other is I was raised in a community in Minnetonka, Minnesota, where it was all wealth, boathouse parties, ocean boats on Lake Minnetonka, where I would bartend all the rich ones and hang out with. I was always hanging out with the parents. Like I loved all my friends, but like the parents, they all were in the generation like your parents were of. They earned it and they grit it, and they had brought so much to my life and so much knowledge and so much wisdom and business knowledge that who I am in the service industry, my knowledge was gained through their experiences as well. Like I make great money in the service industry, having the lifestyle to be able to take off time and live this beautiful life. Didn't go to college. I make more money than probably 70% of the people who I went to high school with, who were chilling on the boats.
I mean, I went to college.
Drinking.
We're doing the same thing right now.
We're doing the same thing right now. I got zero debt, and what I am excited for is to have that day where I get to sit down with your parents and one, overly love the hell out of them because I understand the intensity that they raised you with so beautifully of your mom's passion and foundation of keeping you accountable, and then your dad being like, she's not wrong. And you're like, yeah, you're right.
So it's interesting because my mom is like this fiery inferno of passion and intensity. And my dad
And
is
my mom's love.
Right.
With the same energy.
Yeah. And my dad is like this tranquil stream from like a Pocahontas movie. And it's just like nothing. There's like nothing can phase him.
I'm going to bring the hippie out of him.
It's just wild. It's just such a vast difference. You have this like roaring fire and cool water on one side, and then my dad could be alone forever. He can just do his own thing. And I got that from my dad, where I could just be alone. And then I got this raging intensity from my mom. And I'm super grateful for it. It was harder to understand as a kid, but I understand it now that I'm starting to have a better understanding of who I am. And when I look into myself, I see my mom and I see my dad. So I couldn't be more grateful for both of them. That being said, there are times, and this is why I'm grateful for meeting you, that the intensity can mutate into almost like this, just like black mass of negativity.
So young,
just
man.
Like just
we're
soaks,
just learning.
Yep, soaks in you. And what's so beautiful about you is you are just this like ray of sunshine. Like
Thank you.
No pun or anything intended. Like you come in and you just shine light on the dark, and you just make it so much easier to see. So before you, it was easy to get caught up in this, like, I have to be better. 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 And then those around me, you have to be better. You have to be better. You have to be better, better than everybody else every day. If you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. And then you come in and you're like, it's okay to just like love, dude. And I'm like, I couldn't appreciate that more. And I think that's what's so valuable about you, is that you are able to make everybody feel seen and heard around you. And I think that comes from the fact that you've lost people. So you want to make sure, exactly. You want to make sure everybody feels the value of the life that they have. And you do an amazing job about that. So,
well, it's crazy where our parents' upbringings, it's like the intentions to have habits kind of be the energy of the first podcast. It's kind of playfully, like we didn't expect it, but I just keep, after reading this book right now, I just keep diagnosing everything through this book. And the habits of watching, my mom created the habit of pure essence of love and hard work, budget, and like enjoy your time. And it's just, I love the way I was raised, and your way that you love that you're raised is, like you said, the habits of the intensity with the habits of you can be alone and all that. But we need that, because I had unhealthy ways of feeling myself. Well, if I better others and have love of the others around me loving me, that's how I can feel loved. While you've taught me to love myself, you've also taught me to take a day off when you go on vacation to come back and not just go right back to work, because I've been programmed to work. Other times it's just the collaboration of what we are. It's beautiful, man. Life is crazy with different friendships. I have the most wonderful friends, and it's the people who I just push so much love into. And when they finally reciprocate the level that I'm trying to get to, they're the most closest people in my life. And I have some ones growing up are so close to me, my best friends. I can name off so many, so I'm not going to go individually. But the McGowan twins are my boys. Um, it's just that as we're growing up, oh, damn, lost my train of thought. Oh, no. Now I'm growing up as an adult, and I'm more who I am.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to think that since we're so settled in who we are and we're still growing, now we met.
Yeah.
And now we just clicked because we have the pieces that we're missing, and we're creating foundations to be better husbands, be better men, eat healthier, live longer, save more money, strive for goals through little wins, little habits that we've created together. And we've just been blooming, man. And I'm really excited for what this podcast is going to bring. We're going to have a bunch of different topics from health and fitness. Maybe we'll talk about anime one day. I think anime is going to be referenced every single show, though. But different physical, mental, demasculizing masculinity. There's so much that we have to bring to this podcast, and it's not necessarily what the topic is.
Yeah.
It's what we have to bring to the topic, and that's the beautiful part. And eventually we'll bring in some friends. Eventually we're going to move rooms. We're going to have more posters. We're going to have 2 mics. This is going to grow not just with us, but the community that we're creating with this podcast. Yeah. And that's what I'm really excited for is just 2 people who are not right, who are not wrong, who are just sitting down, having a conversation, and normalizing communication from man to man, and just shining the light of this beautiful friendship so others can feel the normacy in it.
100%.
Yeah, man.
I'm just excited to something we talked about in the first podcast, which I really liked.
It was so good. Wish you guys could have been part of
it. Wish you could have been there.
Yeah, we were there.
Was your present self and your future self. How the decisions you make right now affect how you're going to feel in the future. In that a lot of times the things that people talk to me about is like, okay, well, like, how do you establish discipline with this? Like, how do you wake up discipline? How do you wake up and let's just say, right. Or how do you wake up, or how do you guys work out so much? Or, how do you cut this out, whether it's drinking or another bad habit or video games?
Foxholes, man.
Yes. People in your foxhole. And I'm very excited to, in a longer term sense, see how my future self is, or who my future self is 3 months down the line after doing a summer of the workout program that we're starting, the podcasts that we're starting, the conversations that we're having. That's something that's super exciting for me. And it's something I think I lost sight of, was absorbing the tools and what people do well around me. Growing up, I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time alone, but I also spent a lot of time not alone because I was playing sports, whether it was in my cousin's gym, whether it was hanging out with other cousins. You know, I've learned from 2 of my cousins, shout out to Cody and Nash, just the idea of sending it. Just like when you're afraid, sometimes you have to face that fear. Like, they are the 2 people that popped in my mind when I went both skydiving and bungee jumping.
It's my creed for 2024, straight to the face.
Yep. Send it. Just 3,
it's
2,
just
1.
so much easier.
Go.
Just do it.
Exactly.
What's the worst that can happen?
100%. You just got to go for it. And I learned that from them. You know, I learned a lot from my cousin Kurt, whether it was, being an entrepreneur and starting your own business, how he's super good at just getting very similar to you, super good at just the people around him want to be around him. So I was like, okay, well, what does he do to do that? I learned things like that. I learned the intensity from my mom, learned to be alone from my dad and stay calm and just breathe, so I'm very excited to just absorb everything I can from you.
Well, that's one of your best traits, man.
Yeah.
For somebody who's had the, you are not privileged. Somebody who has had the privilege through the foundation that your parents have created themselves to give you through the love they have for you.
I'm privileged in the sense that I was born into a life with 2 parents who cared so much about my growth as a person. Yeah. And then they provided.
And that's how they love you, man. That's how it is, man. But this is exactly how we wanted the first one to go. The first one was great. We were a little more. What's funny is, as this is going to be going on, you're going to see more of our personalities come out. The first one, I'm going to look in your eyes. It was way more us. We got a little bit too boxy at the beginning of this one. And I'm happy that through the comfort of each other's presence, we got back into what it was the first time. But this is going to be something beautiful, man. Like we said, it's just for us and for the people who want to join. And we would love for you to comment about topics that you like to talk about. and just grow with us as we grow together. And we all are going to join the same foxhole. Yeah. Hi, man.
Welcome to the Foxhole.
Welcome to Foxhole. 2 guys, 1 bike.
2 guys, 1 bite.
Yeah. It'll be good, man. We're going to keep it up on YouTube, keep it up on Instagram, and kind of post more of our fitness and what we kind of do outside of the podcasts. And then just post once a week on Thursdays or edited into Fridays. The talks, and kind of give you a full circumference of how we're living our lives and how we're bettering our lives. And would love to see you join the story, enjoy the process, join the foxhole.
Yeah. If you do watch this, thank you for doing that. Please don't hesitate to reach out, send a text, toss out a topic that you want talked about, or just ideas, or something controversial, or something that you saw, or something that you learned, or a book that you read. Honestly, Jacob and I would love to talk about anything.
I'd love to read a new book.
Yep. So we'd love feedback. Love that anybody watching is a part of it. And we're just trying to be better versions of ourselves. So thank you for your time.
Let's get better together.